Like when you're in the car and you're at a stop sign or a stoplight and somebody pulls up next to you and they got the stereo cranked way up and it's so loud that you can feel the vibration of the music. Well, that tongue can pick up very, very small vibrations like a mouse walking out in front of it. Now, I can't, if the mouse is a long ways away, it can't do it. But something fairly close, it will sense that vibration and alert it to the fact that there's a potential prey item there. Go ahead, take it. It's all right, don't. You got to keep a little bit of a grip on this guy because he can move very, very quickly. And if he got loose in the xeriscape, I think we'd probably not see him again. This is not a particularly large red racer. They'll grow to between 3 and 4 feet in this area. But this one I think has still got some growing to do. Don't be surprised if he climbs right up your shirt sleeve. This is a California king snake, and this one is a constrictor. Now, I'm sure that all of you understand the word constrictor. What does it mean?
It means, like, the boa constrictor, it wraps around you and suffocates you, so constrict.
Okay, but constrict is a fancy word for squeeze, that's all. And this is a snake that relies on its ability to grab a hold of its prey and then wrap around it and constrict. It is not fast, so it has to kind of sneak up on things, and when it is able to, it strikes and grabs a hold of the animal, and then it very quickly wraps 2 or 3 coils around it, and it constricts until the animal is suffocated, and then it can swallow it. Now here's a question for you guys. Why do you think the snake would rather have the prey dead while it's eating it?
So it's not squirming around.
So it's not squirming around, exactly right. Because remember, the things that this animal is eating are, for the most part, they have teeth and claws, and they're going to be kicking and scratching and biting. Well, that wouldn't be much fun if you're trying to swallow something that's scratching you like that. Gina, you can go ahead and take it. It's fine. Now, this is a very unusual snake in one regard because it is immune to the venom of rattlesnakes, and as a result, this one can even kill and eat rattlesnakes. Even if the rattlesnake bites it, the venom doesn't have any effect on the king snake. Now, they don't seek rattlesnakes out, but this is what we call an opportunistic predator. If the opportunity presents itself and this guy's hungry, he'll try to take advantage of it. But mostly this is a rodent eater. Small mice, small, like pack rats, kangaroo rats, lizards, other snakes, and even birds. Now, you notice how shiny that skin is? This is one of the real easy ways that the very shiny skin and those black and white bands make it very, very easy to distinguish this snake.
Does this one hunt in the day or night?
Well, it can be out during the morning and afternoon hours, particularly in times when it's cool, but most of its activity is at night, particularly during the summer where it's very hot out during the day. This snake is going to be mostly active at night. These are very popular as pets because they tame down very nicely and they're pretty and they're easy to feed. You can feed them just about anything.
So is this found in the Mojave Desert?
These are, yeah, all of the animals we've looked at today can be found right in the desert around Las Vegas. Okay, remember to be gentle with it. This is a living creature, so you've got to get plenty of support.
Is this as long as it gets?
This is, well, there are some records of these things more than 5 feet long, but this is pretty typical for a king in this area. And I think this is about as big as this one's going to get because the records indicate that this snake is about 22 years old. Now, that's a lot longer than most of them will live in the wild.
Who would win, a red racer or a king snake?
Well, this king snake is big enough to eat that red racer. But
what if they were the same size?
Then they would probably just leave each other alone. Something we humans should take a lesson from. Many snakes have the ability to vibrate their tail. Okay, now everybody thinks that about the rattlesnakes, but these things, these king snakes and many other types, can also vibrate their tail, and it uses that when it's trying to sneak up on something. Very often it will start vibrating its tail to distract the animal that it's trying to sneak up on, so the animal's watching the tail and not the head of the snake, and then all of a sudden the snake is within striking range, gets a hold of the animal, starts constricting, and the snake probably gets a meal.
Does it use its eyes or its...
This one uses its eyes to some extent, but because it's mostly hunting at night, relying more on its ability to smell the animal and to pick up vibration if it's close. A lot of these snakes during the cooler parts of the year, and I mean other than winter when they're hibernating, but in the spring they can be out during the daytime, but as the days warm up, and like now, I mean he's almost strictly in a nocturnal mode. And then as the fall starts in, he'll shift a little bit into afternoon, even morning. Well, we've got one more snake that we need to look at, so why don't we put this one back.
Is this one a boy or a girl?
This is a boy. All right, what we're looking at here is one of the 6 rattlesnakes that we find in Nevada. This is the Mojave rattlesnake. Many people call this the Mojave green because, as you can see, it has a slightly greenish tint to the skin. This is our most dangerous rattlesnake. Its venom is extremely powerful, and so this is a snake that you need to learn to recognize, and if you should see one in the wild, just simply stay away from it. There's no point in trying to get too close because a bite from one of these will certainly put you in the hospital. So, some of the ways that you can recognize this snake is not only that greenish color, but look at the pattern on the back. You see it's sort of these blotches, almost sort of diamond shaped, but they're all outlined in white. Then if you look at the tail, you can see black and white bands, and the white bands are going to be much wider than the black ones. And of course, there's that rattle there, and if you get a chance to see that, then you know you're dealing with a rattlesnake, and it's a good idea simply to stay away from these guys. The only venomous snakes that people need to be concerned about here are the rattlesnakes, and Nevada has 6 different varieties. Right around the southern part of the state, you can find all 6 of them, but as you move up north, you can only find 1 or 2.
Is the rattlesnake born with a rattle, or does it develop it?
It is born with a very short rattle, just a single segment that we call a button. And then every time the snake sheds its skin, it adds another segment to that rattle. And that's the whole thing behind the myth that you can tell a snake's age by counting the rattles. Actually, if it's got a full rattle, you can tell how many times it's shed, but you really can't tell how old it is. But yes, it is born with a little button right on the tip of its tail. Yeah.
Are the babies the most venomous?
The rattlesnakes can control the amount of venom that they inject in a bite. And because their venom is primarily there to kill their food, and remember that these are not fast, nor are they constrictors, so they have to sneak up, strike the animal, inject the venom, they let the venom do the killing, and then they follow the trail of the animal by scent, and then find it after it's dead and they swallow it. So because the primary purpose of the venom is to get prey, they don't want to waste it in defense. But this is something they have to learn. So a young rattlesnake, very often if it bites something, gives all the venom. And so you can get more serious bites from a young snake than you might from an older snake that knows I don't have to give any venom or only a very little bit to achieve the aim that I'm going for.